Hi, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Cabinet Con. You're listening to Small Town Justice. This episode is called Garden of Edie. I'm your host, Kyle O'Donnell. Today is Tuesday, April 26, 2022, which is our last episode before CrimeCon 2022 in Vegas, which will run from April 29th to May 1st. And of course, our next episode will be released on time as usual, right after that on May 3rd. Now, keep in mind that I will be there representing Legally Insane Films and the Small Town Justice podcast, so show up and meet me in person if you'd like. I'll be talking about upcoming documentaries and, of course, ensuing seasons of the podcast. I'll also have a bunch of freebies to hand out, and I'd love to meet you. Having said that, I've had a few comments from friends and fans that I should sneak in one more bonus episode before the convention, so I'll actually be doing you one better. Not only will I release a bonus episode that was previously only accessible through the fan club membership, but I'll also be releasing an interview I had with a state-level undercover investigator who discusses both Robert Stoll as well as Michael McKay. How's that for a slice of deep-fried fan love? Additionally, just for my wonderful and gracious fan club members, I'll also be posting an extra episode in addition to the bonus where I call all the victims listed in Robert Stoll's case file. And this material is a doozy. The calls that I made not only found me reaching out to victims that have actually died before seeing Robert Stoll brought to justice, the trail of these calls also led me to Michael McKay's ex-girlfriend. It led me to a sexual predator, and it even led me to an unexpected undercover law enforcement official who spoke on the condition of anonymity about his experience dealing with Stoll personally. I also, in this extra episode, reach out to a cabinet company that came and helped several of Stoll's victims in the aftermath of the conviction. It's an incredible episode, and it's my special gift to my awesome fan club supporters. Please consider giving us a $5 tip if you value this show. Not only does this keep the investigations going, it also represents your access to this and many other extras, outtakes, freebies, live streams, and all kinds of wonderful things that go on behind the closed doors of the fan club membership. Okay, so for today's announcement, I have spoken with Angela Bott. It was quite an interesting discussion, and in it we also worked out a way that I should be able to speak with Robert Stoll very soon. And since I've pre-recorded that episode, I may have even spoken to him by the time this airs. Here are just a few things that we talked about in that conversation. At some point in time, they put him in jail to actually serve a sentence, or was he always waiting to go to trial?
He was always waiting. He when they got him out here the last time, that was January 17th, 2019. And that morning, a cop had come, knocked the door. This would have been the 4th or 5th time. And I was getting ready to go to my first day of a new job, trying to do whatever I could to take care of all of this. But so he knocks and tells me that Rob's not in any trouble. He just needs to talk to him. But I had sent Rob to take the baby to school, which is about 2 blocks away, because I'm running late for the first day of a job. And so when I sent him to do that, I don't know if they were waiting down there or if they just looked up, but they know he didn't have a driver's license. So when he pulled back up, he comes running up the steps, and the cops come pulling up behind him. And they didn't see him driving, but the cop got out saying, "I know you were driving that car and you don't have a license." And then I'm out there. I was like, wait a minute. You said he wasn't in any trouble. He's telling me to get in the fucking house, mind my own fucking business. It's crazy. So I'm standing there crying and telling him, I was like, please don't do this. And he tells me if I'll swear to it and tell him that Rob was driving, because he said, if I turn this camera on and you tell me he was driving, you tell me the truth, I won't charge him with that. So I did. And Rob went to jail for the warrant he came out with, and he told me he wasn't going to charge him with driving without a license. And of course, when I got out of lunch that afternoon, first thing I did was go look. And sure enough, they had charged him with that, so now he's got no bail. And that's where he's been sitting since January 17th, 2019.
Does he use drugs? Is he addicted or anything like that?
To my knowledge, he wasn't on drugs until, I guess probably about the middle of 2018, I think. And I don't know that for sure, but I can tell you that I know he was on drugs when he would, whatever happened at that car lot. That's when I knew about it.
Okay.
He was taking pills. But had he been like that the whole time, no.
What major differences did you notice?
Well, I actually didn't notice a whole lot of differences, except for he just when he took that car, I knew something is seriously wrong, because that's just, why would you do something like that, And it took a day or two of piffering here and there and questioning this person and that person to find out that he was buying pills and taking pills, and had been for several months by then.
Any other problems, like gambling problem or debts?
No, he's like, I don't know how to explain him. He's my best friend. He hadn't been here in 3 years, and every single day, I can't believe it's just another day going by without him around here. But he's just a really good guy. I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened.
In addition to what you heard there, I also talked to Angela Bott about Robert's motivations, what perhaps motivated him to start down that road. I asked her if she knew about his criminal past, and I asked where all the money went. Her answers to those and other crucial questions are very enlightening, to say the least. You'll definitely want to hear those. So look for that to come out very soon, and hopefully I'll have Stoll's conversation as well. And at that point, we will finally wrap up this case and send it out to the world. To skip this intro and get right into the interview, skip forward to about 8 minutes and 55 seconds. By voluntarily continuing to consume this and all other media released by Legally Insane Films, LLC, you're agreeing to the terms and conditions outlined at legallyinsanefilms.com/privacy. Last week's quiz winner was a wonderful lady in Altoona, Pennsylvania, who wishes to remain anonymous. I've had a couple of those so far. But she did say that her entire family lives in Florida, where she was first turned on to this story. She also wanted me to say hello to her siblings, Jimmy, Francis, and Mike, living it up in much sunnier conditions this time of the year compared to her little spot in the middle of Pennsylvania. Hi guys, I hope my little show has helped you stay safe from scams like this one. For this week's quiz, you'll have to listen to Edie as she talks about her experience with Robert Stoll not once, but actually twice, as she had him in her home for 2 separate jobs. It's a very revealing story, not just because I recently spoke with Stoll's wife, who says things in direct contradiction to Edie's real-life experience, but also because she's the only victim I've met who actually had 2 different experiences, and each time, of course, was a scam. All throughout that conversation, I kept thinking that Angie, Stoll's wife, may actually come away with a very different perspective of her husband if she ever ends up listening to this show. Here are this week's questions. Question A. How is it that Robert Stoll maximized his profits on Edie's tile installation? Edie mentions his tactic at the beginning of our interview, but gives me even more surprising detail toward the end. Just summarize what she tells me in that talk. Question B. How did Edie feel when she saw Robert Stoll walking out her door and down the sidewalk after she'd paid him? She uses very specific language, so be sure to be specific in your answer. And question C. What is Edie's cultural lineage? Where does she say that her family line traces back to? As always, send your answers to thejusticepod@gmail.com and follow me on Twitter @Kyle O'Donnell or @justice_pod for these questions. My tweets are protected on those accounts, so your request to follow must be approved, but once it is, you'll see all the questions listed there. Now, on to the show.
Hello?
Hey, Edie. Sorry about that.
Hi. Oh, that's okay.
Appreciate your callback on this. I'm doing a story on Robert Stoll, and actually my investigation has revealed that there's kind of some things ongoing. So part of my call is to see if I could get, first of all, your side of the story as one of the victims, and secondly, maybe if you interacted with one of the investigators and maybe were able to put some pieces together that I might be able to add to my investigation. How did yours go? I mean, did he get you for a lot? Was he able to, I mean, were you one of the few that snuck by without too much damage or what?
No. Well, I guess it's all relative, but
right.
We're not rich or anything, so yeah, it hurt us. The thing is, we had dealings with him before. He came in and put white porcelain tile all throughout our house, except in our pool room. And did a beautiful job. We were so happy with it. And so he did floors and cabinets. So, of course, we went back to him to have the kitchen cabinets done. And he came over with his computer, and we were designing it and everything, and just thought, this is great. He's got this, what do you call that stuff?
Like the 3D mapping?
Yeah, like, where you can design it.
Like the blue,
like Matterport?
Yeah, it was designing it, and we could actually see it. We could visually see it. So anyway, we went ahead, and he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to need the cabinets are coming from overseas, so I'm going to have to have a lot of the money down. I think it was going to cost us maybe $11,000, and because we just restructured, redid the whole, closed off a door, we moved appliances and everything. So I stood there and counted it out, $6,000 in $100 bills for him.
Wow.
And then he also was going to put carpet in the pool room, so we paid him money for that as well. And he just walked out the door, and I remember standing there looking at him walk out the door. And of course we got, a receipt and signed everything and how much we'd paid and what we'd paid in checks and this and that. So I remember just thinking, why do I have this knot in my stomach right now?
Right.
And as he walked out the door, and got in his car, and we'd never heard from him. My husband kept calling him, saying, "When are the cabinets coming in?" And he just totally didn't call us back. He just was completely out of touch. And then I remember it was a Saturday morning. He called Rob, and my husband said, "Dude, what are you doing here? I need to know how to schedule this. I need where are the cabinets?" And he said exactly. He said, I hate to even talk like this, but he said, "I ain't got time for you, bro," and hung the phone up. And so we just, my husband eventually contacted a investigator and a detective or whatever, and they started looking for him, and we were finding out that he had gone to Panama City when we had, I think it was Hurricane, Michael, came through and just devastated Panama City. And I figured, that he was over there scamming people right and left.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then finally I heard that he had come back. Well, we went down to this other cabinet place. I can't remember the guy's name because this was a couple years ago. His name was Thomas. So we said, "Thomas, come over because we want to have the dining room." We changed rooms in dining room into another area of the house. And so I said, "Want to have you come over and get me the same tile that Robert put in and tile this new dining room." So he comes over and he walks in the house, and all he's looking at is the floor, and it's like he's figuring it, and he said, "Where did you get this floor?" And I said, "Well, we had Robert Stoll put it in." And he goes, "Really?" He goes, "Do you know how many square feet it is?" And I said, "No, not really." And he said, "Do you mind if I walk around and look at the square footage?" I said, "Sure," because they're 2x2 squares. He was walking around, and I could tell he's mentally doing something. And he looks at all of the flooring, and he said, "So Stoll put this in?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Let me tell you something about your floor." He said, "Robert and I shared a warehouse, and we came up with this flooring stolen, and it's about this amount of flooring, square footage." And I said, What? He said, "Yeah." He said he came into the warehouse, stole the flooring out, came over here, put it in your house, and charged you $7,000. And I said, "Oh my God." So it's just been one thing after another with him.
Wow.
But we did eventually thank God some of the people I heard were unable to spring back. But we were able to, because my husband's in construction, he was able to get with the cabinet company that builds the multifamily homes that he builds, or student homes. And so he got with that guy, and that guy said, look, I'll order the cabinets right along with this, and you can just pay me on the side. So we did get cabinets in our house eventually, but it's just his audacity and his boldness, and just the fact that he just chronically thought he was getting away with it. And when the district attorney called me and told me that he had been in court that day, it was actually on my birthday, and I said, look, you guys need to really, really give me a nice birthday present, okay? I don't want to hear he got off on probation or anything like that. So they did. They made an effort to call me, and they said, look, he got 10 years. Wait, was it 10 years or 20 years?
It was 10 and 20 probation.
There you go. Okay. He was going to have to, repay the money, and which kind of made me laugh, because I'm 69, and they said, after 10 years, I'm like, what am I going to do with $25 a month?
Right.
You never know. It might come in handy. But anyway.
You could buy one tile a month.
Right, exactly. So, I think that's what his MO was, that he would go in and do something really, really good for you, and then no matter how big or small it was, and then he would, you would just come back to him, and he would just scam the hell out of you. But I'm just glad that, like I told her, the district attorney, or whoever she was, I told her, I'm just glad. I don't care about repayment at this point in time. I'm just glad that he is not out doing this to other people, because he did some really bad things to some people. And,
yeah.
So that's our story, and it all worked out in the end. But my husband and I, we're not. How do I want to say it? We're not people that fall for this kind of stuff. We don't. We are total. We have very excellent radar when it comes to being scammed or something. But we had such a good rapport with him, and he always called me Miss Edie and treated me with such respect, and got to know people in our family, and we just like, well, we're going to do the kitchen, we'll have Rob do it. So
that's incredible.
Boy, he got us good, but
there've been like 3 or 4 times where I was going to start talking and say, man, you've blown my mind, but I let you finish, and you just blew my mind even more with the next thing that you said. So I'm glad I didn't interrupt you. That is absolutely incredible. I believe that you gave me just now a description of he was even more brazen by your description with you guys than he was with others, with the stolen tile, with all the, with the fact that he was in Congress with somebody else, and everything that you said. And I'm happy to give you a lot of the background on this, because I don't know if you even care anymore, because
yes, absolutely. When something like that happens to you, it becomes part of you, and you carry it with you. So yes, absolutely. I'd be very interested in knowing. Well,
I'm releasing a podcast about the entire investigation, and what I'm actually about halfway through this thing, I realized that I might be able to do something else, and I'm trying to figure out where to start here, because I want to keep talking about your side of it, but then I have this other thing. So I'll definitely give you that information that I have that kind of taps into the things you talk about. I took a couple of notes while you were talking. But one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to donate my media to a crowdfunding campaign, and I'm going to see if we can't get some money together. You guys have cabinets.
Yes, we did get cabinets. Yes.
Yeah, and if we can get everybody that was without cabinets, that would be great. There's another lady named B. In fact, when you said that he called you Miss Edie. He called the other lady Miss B. So
yeah.
I'm positive he did the same thing to her. Got in with her family and met her daughter. She told me that he did. So, that's pretty incredible. In any case, she was one of the unlucky ones that has not been able to bounce back. And so part of the campaign was I wanted to reach out to all the victims and see how many of you guys weren't back to par. And the first thing I want to do with whatever crowdfunding we can get is to get cabinets. And if there's some left over, then we can divvy out, based on who lost what, we can try and figure out some kind of a metric to give you guys at least a little bit on the top end of that money back.
I would be more interested in getting the people. I think I know who B is. I think I heard about her. But getting, those people back on their feet. Like I said, we were fortunate enough to be able to get done what we wanted to get done, and he had not ripped anything out at that time when he walked out the door. So but I would be very interested in helping or doing anything I could do or say to help those victims that weren't able to.
Well, it might just come down to really one of the things that's going to help a lot at the end of this thing, when I have my full investigation done, and I'm going to tell you what I need to do to get to that point in just a minute, but it would just be to share it, just to share this story everywhere you can, like on cabinet review sites, on the Better Business Review stuff, on your Facebook page if you have one, throughout your friend base. Just get it out there. Just help people, because one of the major messages that just strikes a vein right through every single one of my episodes so far is that he's not alone. And that's where I was leading into with this thing. So what I've found in my investigation was that he actually wasn't even the big dog. I've found out through somebody I can't really name, and I don't name on the show, who worked with one of the investigators who basically laid it out like he's actually the pawn. This other guy was kind of using him to get a certain amount of money, and really Stoll was and is addicted to meth, and I'm talking with him next week in prison, and I've spoken with his caseworker up until I think Tuesday this week. Is today Thursday or Wednesday? I can't even. Wednesday. So I spoke with him Monday, 2 days ago, and he said, yeah, he's addicted. That's why he did it. The investigator that I spoke with, or the man who knows the investigator, was like, yeah, that money went straight to drugs. He doesn't have anything left over for it. He basically probably paid out 30 or so % of this stuff to the henchmen behind it.
Gosh.
And so he was really just doing it for drugs. He lived in a trailer with holes in the wall on the outside, and he had a child he didn't take care of that was about to get taken away from him. Like, he was just not using that money for anything good anyway. So
right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say he's very lucky, because when I was talking to the detective that my husband had gotten in touch with, I told the detective, I said, he's really lucky. I said, my husband is not the kind of person, he's Sicilian, he's not the kind of person that takes this kind of stuff and just goes, okay, he got us. I told him, I said, my husband wants to take him fishing, hey, no problem. It's okay, Rob. Everybody makes mistakes. But I said, he wants to take him fishing and make sure there's a couple of cement blocks in the boat. And he goes, oh gosh, he said, I wish you hadn't have said that. I can't unhear that. But, I said, that's the only thing that with we're Italian, and I said that's the only thing sometimes that gets us by.
Right.
And it was kind of embarrassing for us, really, because I'm like I said, I'm not a stupid woman at all, and my husband's in construction, and he verifies people before he gets them to do things on the job and stuff. But finally I just said, look, we have to tell everybody. We have to talk to people, because he's still out there, and we have to tell people what happened and what's going on. And I even had the day, some of my friends really read the paper and the obituaries and all that stuff. And I had several friends the next day, I believe it was, call me and text me and say, "Oh my gosh, did you see where Robert got prison time?" And I'm so glad. And so, a lot of people were aware of what he had done to us in our circle of friends. But he's very fortunate, because my husband said several times, I'm going to find, Thomas is going to tell me where he lives, and I'm just going to go over there and I'm going to grab him out of the house and I'm going to beat him to a pulp. And I said, "No, you're probably not going to do that because he'll be out and you'll be in jail."
Right.
So,
well, yeah, no, I get the humor. I get all that stuff. There's a there's a lot of tandems in what everybody has gone through in this, and B is, I don't know who's worse off or worse for wear in this thing, because it's hard to tell over the phone. I'm not even in Florida, actually. But the way that I got turned on to this case was a friend of mine. I just released my latest documentary, and I'm sharing it with all my old friends. And one of my old friends from birth was one of the victims.
Oh, gosh.
And so she was like, "Oh my God," she liked the documentary, and she was like, "The way that you tell crime stories, you should tell the story that I just experienced." And all the same stuff. She's just like that. She has to use humor to kind of cope. They got their kitchen put back together and stuff like that. But so anyway, moving forward.
Can I just ask you real quick? Is B the older lady that he came in and gutted the kitchen and just left?
As far as I can tell, she's one of 3 people that he did. She got 2 cabinets from, I'm surprised he said overseas, because she got hers from New Orleans. And in fact, I called the place in New Orleans, the warehouse. They confirmed they work with him. So that's where they were coming from. I don't know if maybe he has multiple sources, or maybe he just didn't get any at all. But she got 2. And that was from there. She actually got like packaging with hers and confirmed all of that stuff, and that was kind of helpful. But she has, I think, just to get rid of her, just to get her to shut up and go away, I think he gave her like 2 cabinets and hardware that didn't even fit.
Oh, my God.
But he did rip out her kitchen. But she said that another person, and unfortunately, I believe this person, when I looked him up, what I found was an obituary.
Oh, no.
So he was never, I think he died before he saw justice. But he was the worst. The Mr. Stoll came into his house and actually cut his pipe, because he was like you guys, but he went to that next level and threatened. He went into Stoll's store, said, "You better come out to my place and set my stuff up, or I'm taking you to court." Well, Stoll went out there, yanked his, just did the demolition job, put his whole kitchen in the front yard and cut his water pipes, and that was it. And that would, in fact, that was involved Stoll's family, and that's what that hinged right there was what set me on the course of finding out more about whether or not his family's involved. And what I found out was his name is tied to another man named Michael McKay. When I started looking up Michael McKay's background, he's got busted for fraud all the way up through the Midwest, like Ohio, Kentucky.
Oh my goodness.
And he's big time. He's the guy, I believe, was working for, Robert was working for him. And I think he trained Robert, kind of, this is how you do it, sort of thing, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh.
And he was big time. He actually ripped off a land investment deal, whole bunch of money. And
unbelievable.
He's actually scheduled for a sentencing on the 24th of this month, and I'll be getting audio recordings of that. And whenever I get everything together, I've got kind of a short window where I need to make all these calls, because I think they're still in contact, all these connections. But once that happens, I'm going to turn everything over to the district attorney, who I also interviewed. Her name is Hannah. She's a very sharp young lady. And she just absolutely cooked his goose in court. And
Wow.
so I'm going to be handing over my stuff to them before I go live with it, just to make sure there's nothing that I publish that's not going to interfere with an investigation they have,
Right.
and then go from there. But so yeah, there's all that connection.
Goodness. Oh, my goodness. I'll tell you what.
It's a tangled web.
He's burned so many bridges in Pensacola as far as the place that we went down to talk to him. He had leased that little building and had some cabinets in there that Thomas said he had stolen from his warehouse, and then he would stay in the rental place for months and months until they literally threw him out. He wouldn't pay a dime of anything. He wouldn't pay rent, insurance, nothing.
Are you enjoying our humble little episode? Did you know that it's 100% fan supported? This particular episode was actually funded through the Legally Insane Film Fund. If you think we're doing a good job arming members of the Escambia County community, and of course the rest of the nation, with the knowledge they need to avoid the scams like the one we're talking about, consider making a one-time or recurring donation. To do that, head over to legallyinsanefilms.com/fund. If you donate $20 or more, you'll get access to our latest documentary film that's already won 9 awards in just the first half of the film festival season. It's just our way of saying thanks for your support. So far in this case, we've heard from both Renee and Edie talk about how Robert Stoll and Michael McKay have both taken out business rental agreements in offices around the Florida Panhandle and literally never pay them another dime. All the while, they operated their scams throughout the area, conning upwards of 6 figures from their very own neighbors. The next time you'll hear a regularly scheduled episode, it'll be my conversation with Angela Bott. We'll find out just how much she knows about Stoll's activities and whether or not she was in on it with him. Check out this snippet of our upcoming bonus materials, as well as a few more statements from Angela Bott that you'll hear as Legally Insane Fan Club members. Okay, so Regina did not answer, but her voicemail said it was her. So I'm pretty sure I got the right lady. Left a message for her. Moving on to a man named Angus. At least I hope it's a man.
Hello.
Hi, is this Angus?
It is.
Hi, Angus. My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a journalist and a documentary filmmaker. I'm doing a story about a guy named Robert Stoll, who, as I understand it, defrauded you of some kitchen stuff. Is that true? Have I got the right guy?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to you. Sorry you had to go through all that. I was curious to find out what actually happened to you. I've heard some horror stories from some of the other victims. What did he actually do with you?
Sir, I am actually at a ball game at the present moment.
Okay.
And, our grandson's playing ball. And I don't have a problem talking to you, but I'm going in for surgery tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So if you can give me a call back and say like first of next week, I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
I'll do that, sir. I appreciate it. And good luck with your surgery.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Hi, I was hoping to reach Angus.
Who's calling?
My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I spoke to him last week when he was at the baseball game with his grandson.
He told me about the telephone call. I suggested that probably he didn't want to speak with you or anyone else. We are glad that Mr. Stoll was convicted, and my husband has just been diagnosed with a very serious cancer this morning. Okay?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I appreciate your...
Thank you so much. All right? Good day.
Very interesting stuff there. We're moving right on into that last half of our chat with Edie right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, he has some big ones. That's all I have to say.
he's got
else.
gall for sure. So speaking of there's a few things that you said that I want to follow up on, if you don't mind. Who is Thomas, and how can I get in touch with him?
Oh my goodness. I will have to look into that, because I swear I couldn't even think of his name when I was trying to when I was mentioning him, but his name just popped in my mind. I can ask my husband where I can find that out for you, and either text it or call you with that information. He's quite a character as well. I'm not really sure about him. He says he was in the military and he did all these things, but every time we tried to get him to come over here to help us, he was my trucks broke down, or I got picked up for DUI or some craziness. So
Wow.
it puts a very bad taste in my mouth for these kind of people,
Yeah.
but that do this. But I can find that out for you.
Okay.
I know he's out. Or the last time I saw him, he was out with a foreign guy. Whom I met. He's like Pakistani or something. Out on Highway 29 here in Pensacola. So if nothing else, I can look up the cabinet shop out there and find that information out.
Sure. Could you, I'm curious, could you describe what this guy looks like? He's not bald. Is he like a cue ball bald?
Thomas?
Yeah.
No, he's kind of tall. He's very dark complected, well, I'll say medium brown, kind of. His hair is very straight. It's
okay.
He has it cut, but it's very straight and odd looking. And as I remember, just kind of a very dirty looking guy. Just not clean skin, not clean hair. His nails were very not good. So
right.
Just, but no, not bald. I'm trying to think of if that Pakistani guy was bald.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I thought there might be a chance he might be somebody that I was that's a person of interest, but that description is nearly complete polar opposite. So
okay. Yeah, I mean, Thomas seemed like a nice guy, and he even told me when we told him what happened with us. He told, and I don't know if it's true or not, although he did have his hands kind of banged up a little bit. He said that he went over to Robert's and drove past Robert's trailer, and Robert was sitting on the front porch drinking coffee. He said like he was a king, just like he had not a care in the world. And he said, I went down the street. He said, I turned around and I came back, and because they have known each other, they're acquaintances. He said, I got out of the truck and I walked up on the porch and I took him off the porch and I beat the shit out of him. And he said, I just beat him up. And he said, and this probably didn't happen, but I'm just telling you this, what Robert Thomas said. And he said, and that's for Edie. Because he was so ticked off about what he'd done and the fact that he had stolen this tile to put in our house and didn't pay a dime for it and charged us premium dollar for it. You're
the only one who has told me that he did any work for you at all. So I'm not surprised that it's stolen, but I am surprised that he did any work for you.
Wow. Well, he did he hired this guy that was just he was just a beast when it came, because like I said, our tiles are 24 by 24, and he just got in here and just laid this tile like it was nothing. I was just amazed at what a beautiful job he did, first of all, and how quickly he did it. But I don't know why this figure stays in my mind, but maybe Robert said something to my husband or something. I don't remember, but it seemed like he only paid the guy like $1,300 or $1,800 to lay all. I'm talking about kitchen, living room, hallways, office.
Wow.
This is a good site, a decent sized house, and he paid him nothing and walked away with the rest of the money.
Yeah.
So. And I think, with the cabinets were coming from overseas and all of that stuff, that I think it was just to put us off.
Yeah. Yeah. He's an excuse king too. That's what all the other victims have told me. They're like, excuses. Yeah. He always had something for every inquiry. He was the answer man.
Yep, that is absolutely correct. And except, when he just finally just told my husband, I ain't got time for you, bro, and hung up, and my husband was just like, I can't believe he just said that to me. And I said, oh, Lord, because I knew he would. When that happened, my husband was ready to just knock his head off.
Yeah.
Hannah, I had very, very great conversations with her. She was something else.
Yeah. One of the problems that I ran into when I started calling cabinet companies to see if they would be willing to help in this campaign to get people, back, their kitchens put back in. I immediately ran into the problem that these guys that are under investigation and are in jail, I reached out to one and they got back to me, and I didn't realize it at the time, but that was one of the cabinet companies that was his. And so that means that they're still in operation as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my gosh.
And so I can't call any of the companies down there because I don't know who's legit. So if your husband has worked with these guys and they helped you out, that would be a huge help to me if I knew that they're actually legit and they're not connected in any way to these guys, that I could call them and see if they might be interested. I'm not asking for, it would be great if they could volunteer their time and materials if they have them, but I'm also willing to pay them if my crowdfunding campaign creates enough revenue to do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I understand. Wow. Yeah, that would be ideal. Well, I will try. Tell me what your first name is.
Kyle.
Is it Kyle?
Yep. And
Kyle, okay.
My name is spelled funny. It's a Cyle.
Okay.
And my last name is O'Donnell, which is ODO, Oscar Delta Oscar, November, Echo Lima Lima.
Got it.
And you can actually Google that. You can Google that. I've got movies out on IMDb. I've got 30 films from 43 countries. I was a travel show host.
Wow. Wow.
And so I've got lots of stuff out there.
And so you're of Irish descent, Irish background?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Both parents.
Oh wow, that's wonderful. That my family was Fellini's on my father's side and Clancy's on my mother's side. So I got the whole little Irish Italian thing going on.
So you're just an angry person who hates good weather. That's what that is.
Oh my gosh, how funny. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to see if I can contact Daniel, and I'm also going to get in touch with Thomas. Like I said, I don't know about the whole that cabinet company. Mm-hmm. It's run by a foreigner, and it just seemed shady. I don't know. Again, it's the gut, and just like when Robert walked out the door and I saw him walking down my sidewalk, I was just like, oh gosh, I don't feel good right this second.
Yeah.
But
I cannot believe that he actually did work for you and then came back, even if it was stolen stuff, right? I'm sure he saw it as an opportunity, but the fact that he just came back and said, all right, that's it. This person knows me and I'm still going to get away with this. I don't have a molecule in my body that makes me understand how he thought he was going to get away with that,
I know. And I mean, like I said, our total thing was 11,000 something. And, he got, over half of that from us, telling us I got to order this, and I got to do this. And, it's going to come to about $6,000, and I got to do do the carpet out there in the pool room. And we're just like, okay, well, sure, here you go. Just because like I said, we had a decent rapport with them, and we were very happy with our tile.
Yeah.
That's the first thing people say when they walk in this house, because it's white and it looks like marble, kind of with some gray in it. The first thing people say is, "Oh my God, look at this floor!" And so we were just so happy with it. We thought, well, he's going to do a great job in the kitchen, and we were helping him design it and everything on the computer. So yeah, I guess we definitely were luckier than most. I'm sure of that, but. Anyway, but I'll see what I can find out, at least from these two people, and see if Thomas would be willing to give you a call and talk with you and Daniel as well.
Well,
kind of off the record.
Let's unless you're absolutely sure that Thomas isn't connected in a criminal way, I'd kind of rather not pursue that until at least I've spoken with a couple other people. Do you know what I mean? Because if he is on the in with him, it might burn a bridge that I
got you. Yeah. Okay, I got you. It might alert them that somebody's looking into this. That okay, I got you covered. Okay, very good.
But yeah, the construction contractor that your husband worked with, and if Daniel could at least by virtue of a phone call from you, kind of help me on the down low, those would be two helpful contacts for sure.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I'll see what I can find out, and whether I do or I don't, I'll call you and just either leave a message or just let you know hey, this didn't work out, or
sure,
it's a no, or this is what I found out.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah,
okay.
And of course, I'll be in touch now that I know who. I've called 100 numbers. I'm going to go ahead and plug your phone number in here. So, and I'll keep you abreast of everything, all the updates on the publications as well.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. It's great to just make people aware of these kind of. Everybody knows about scam people and people out there scamming folks, but it still happens. They're still successful, and it still happens no matter how vigilant you are. It does, and boy, oh boy. Yeah. My daughter even said, this is how leery of we are. My daughter, I was telling her about your voicemail last night, and my daughter says, well, Mom, you need to be very careful, because this could be somebody that Rob sets up to
get you twice,
vengeance, to come and beat you up or something. Don't tell him where you live. So we're just like so out of touch with trust with this guy. We wouldn't put anything past him.
That's the other thing. When this podcast comes out and you listen to it, I go through. I have a complete podcast just dedicated to, or at least half of that podcast dedicated to, like, just getting over that hump with people, because he really, if they weren't already mistrusting of the scams that are floating around, they really were after Stoll. So I had this big hurdle. Even the cabinet companies, they were like, well, maybe you can come by and we could shake hands. I can get a good look at you before we do business. I'm like, I'm in Arizona. I'm not driving 2,000 miles to shake your hand. We can do a Zoom or something. But yeah, it's a hurdle, and it's such a tragedy that, because it's not, he doesn't just take your money, he takes your trust out the door with him, and you're never going to get that back. You're always going to remember that little spot that says, well, this could be bad. And who knows what opportunities that is going to burn for you in other
exactly.
people. So,
you just become very, very distrusting of everyone, and it's just to be that cynical, all the time about everyone is just it's not a good way to live. But unfortunately, that's just how our society is at right now. So,
well, I've got the latest film that I just released. I'll send you a link to that. And this is exactly what we do at my production company. Our motto, right? Our mission is to expose injustice and celebrate the heroes fighting it. That's at the heart of every piece of media that I make. And the film that I released is about the huge nuclear level civil rights abuse that happened right here in Arizona. And it's already won 6 awards at the film festival season this year. And it's just an incredible exposition about a corrupt police department. I mean, it goes really, really deep. So I'll send you a link to that.
Please do, because I would absolutely, both my daughter and I would absolutely love to see that. We're very big documentary watching people. I mean, we watch The Disappeared, and what are the other ones? Oh my God, all of these things, because it enlightens you to some of the things. I know once I started watching Disappeared, I was extremely vigilant about people around me and where I was going, and if an emergency came up, how would I, get out of this situation? Mm-hmm. So it does. I mean, I guess it's good or it's bad, but it makes you a lot more aware of people and surroundings and situations that. So we're constantly watching some kind of documentary. Yeah. So I would love to see that. Be sure you send me that link, okay?
I'll do that. And if I can't, I'm not sure if I can give you free access to the whole thing, but there's a trailer, there's a synopsis, there's a whole bunch of, there's like a podcast set up there. There's all kinds of stuff. And once that's actually available for release, I'll send you a link to that as well.
Absolutely, that would be awesome. And if it's something that you have to pay for, count me in. I want to see it. I would love to see it. So,
All right.
That's very interesting.
Well, listen, Edie, it was great to talk to you. You're regardless of what happened through all this, you're still kind of sparkling and happy. So that's good. That really is good to hear. And hang in there. Don't let your husband loose on the prison once I release the podcast.
Okay, wonderful. I just have this feeling about things that no matter what happens to you, it's how you react to it.
Right.
And I was for golly day, probably 3 weeks. I was so down about this, and my husband kept saying, "Look, forget about it." Okay, in his Italian way, forget about it. Just it's done. It's over with. We're going to get back on the trampoline and start jumping again. Okay, so it messed me up for a little while there, but everything's good now, and you just have to react to things the best way you can.
Yeah.
But my heart, like I said, my heart just breaks for the people who couldn't spring back quickly. So,
well,
but
thankfully you're still around to tell your story, and I can then help make some good out of it, right? Like I can help change things for the better. So between the two of us, thanks so much for your story. I appreciate your call back. I know it took a lot to trust that this wasn't a rabbit hole for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm very impressed with what you do, and very proud of what you're doing. So you just carry on, and just stay in touch if you need to. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right,
I'll do that.
Pavel.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. What a neat lady. So that was Edie. Really super glad I got to talk to Edie. I was basically writing off all of the other victims. Not write them off, like, maybe I should start that over again. I had basically consigned myself to never hearing from any more victims. So I'm glad Edie called me back. It actually also gives me hope that other people will call me back and share their stories. But super glad that this did not crush her soul. It very well could have, because she's had this man in her house twice now, and had dealings with him twice. But man, what a revelation on the other side of things. The only time Stoll did any work for anybody, he did it with stolen materials. Stoll's stolen materials. That's what his warehouse should be called. Anyway, so yeah, I also got a huge, super positive vibe from Edie. I think that I believe that if I was sitting in her kitchen, I would be as spectacularly moved by her heart and her gumption to get past this and move on as I am 2,000 miles away speaking to her on the phone. So that warms my heart a little bit. Okay, so I'll end that here, and we'll put this in the list with the other interviews for the victims, and I guess we'll keep on going. What a splendid lady. Even though Robert really took Edie and her husband as just another dollar sign, I deeply enjoyed that our paths crossed. It's unfortunate that they had to cross, but I'm glad they did. She's just such a great soul for having gone through that, and, still having the stamina and class, I might add, to laugh about it now. Let's just hope she runs into extremely nice people for the rest of her days to make up for that experience. A big thanks to her for standing up and fighting back, and of course, having the strength to talk to us about it today. Because we really only have Angela and Robert's interviews to release in order to conclude this investigation, there will be no vote for the last two episodes, but I'm always still welcoming of your thoughts on this case. So in lieu of this week's vote, why not head over to the Twitter sphere and give me your comments on how we're doing so far? Have we covered all the bases? Have we asked all the important questions, chased down the pertinent leads? And of course, remember that we're also about to launch into our investigation of Michael McKay. So let me know your thoughts on Twitter at Kyle O'Donnell, and you can also find me on Instagram at that same handle. If you've been keeping up with our live streams, you probably already know a lot more about my talk with Angela Bott, but keep in mind I've spoken to her multiple times, so there will be new information on next week's talk with her. If you want to keep up to date on all that we talk about on our live streams, just join the fan club at the investigator level. Small Town Justice is always looking for good people and great stories. Our mission is to expose injustice and celebrate the heroes fighting it. So if you have a story that fits that criteria, email it to thejusticepod@gmail.com. And of course, if you're interested in joining our motley crew, we're always looking for social media gurus, justice researchers, web sleuths, marketing peeps, and of course, we'd love to meet any folks out there with the talent to be a co-host. Send your relevant information to Vira@legallyinsanefilms.com. That information is in the show notes. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We give away free stuff every once in a while there that's not really formally announced on the podcasts. That's youtube.com/Kyle O'Donnell. It does seem a bit redundant to say this, but if you or someone you know who might like this show is hearing impaired, you can also watch these episodes on YouTube and turn on the closed captions. Small Town Justice is a production of Legally Insane Films, LLC. All rights are reserved. And I'm not talking about dinner reservations at Red Lobster, my friends. Until next time, I'm your humble host, Kyle O'Donnell, wishing you a safe and splendid week. Until next time, go legal, but don't go insane.